What up? Got the Average Man podcast. I am the average man. I want to thank God for everything going on, everything that's going on, because we know that all things work together for those who love the Lord. Bless our leaders, the whole world. Bless our pastors, especially my pastor. In Jesus' name. Bless our children. In Jesus' name. So, book comes out. The Original Sin. Supposed to come out today. And the Dems are back and back talking about well, if they knew, why didn't anybody say anything? We all saw it. Some people was just ignoring stuff, but anyway, these ladies over here, they got something to say. Here we go. Here we go.
That's neither here nor there. Let's talk about what's going on, because Original Sin, the book claiming that Democrats covered up President Biden's declining condition, is out today. It's co-written by Jake Tapper, and Joe Biden's granddaughter posted her review ahead of its release, claiming it's all lies, and it's lies.
See, it seems like they need to change the font size on her teleprompter, because it seems like she having a little problem.
Eyes on unnamed anonymous sources pushing a self-serving false narrative that absolves them of any responsibility for our current national nightmare. The Daily Show's Jon Stewart weighed in about the book last night as well. Take a look.
Don't news people have to tell you what they know when they find it out? Isn't that the difference between news and a secret? Breaking news in a week. The news is selling you a book about news they should have told you was news a year ago for free. It was a terrible cover-up because we all knew.
So,
now, if you just watch that expression, she was like, to me, who's it? Like, are you kidding me? How dare you? How dare you talk about Joe Biden? How dare you?
Did anonymous sources who talked to Tapper have spoken up about their concerns while he was in office, while he was still in office? And my other question is, why is this important to know now?
See, that's what I've been asking. Why is this important now? I asked that same question when they keep talking about the insurrection. I asked that same question. Like, why are we still hearing about an insurrection? What does it have to do with anything now? Nothing. Nothing. But because it's about Joe Biden, it's a problem. And y'all know what's going to happen. Y'all know what's going to happen. They finna come at Trump. I'm just letting y'all know before we even start. We're gonna get off of Biden not knowing when the son got killed. We're not gonna we gotta get off of Biden because he's 83, 4, 6 years old or whatever. You understand me? We understand that he old. But man, you can't be doing that and running the country at the same time. See, it's a difference, Whoopi. My point, you know what I'm saying? And before I really got into analyzing this and analyzing that, one of my favorite two movies. But the only thing that I really now like about Whoopi is that I believe she's a good person, and I like, I was able to grow up in an era where I was able to watch a young Whoopi Goldberg do some really good actressing. Um, Sister Act 2, Sister Act 1. Sister Act 2 is my favorite because there was good music, there was good singing with those young people at the time, and it was a really good movie. Jumpin' Jack Flash, you know, Pointer Sisters theme song, whatever. But yeah, it's cool though. But I just don't agree with her opinions. Well, I don't agree with none of her opinions all the time. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's what some people want to know.
It just seems to me.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff to be concerned about at the moment.
So I list them?
Yeah.
So I list them?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
please. Yes.
Here's the Trump's atrocities. I'm going to list
This lady right here, though.
them for you. Cutting Medicaid.
Yeah.
Well, this is what we're concerned about now.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Cutting
I'll let-
Medicaid, slashing funding for cancer research.
Yep.
Rising prices because of tariffs. Dismantling USAID, which helps children and people who are poor around the world.
Yeah.
Fears of recession, destroying due process, ending birthright citizenship, dismantling the Department of Education, rolling back regulations on air and water quality, destroying our relationships with allies like Canada and the UK,
Yes.
and targeting his political opponents.
Preach.
And that, only that, but he
said
also
preach.
said that Joe Biden has stage 9 cancer. Oh, really? Where did he come up with that? When is Jake Tapper...
Okay, anyway, I'm not going to get into any more of this separatism, dodging the truth media. I'll go over here and let's talk about something else that people are talking about. So, Trump has decided that there should be limited use for Section 8 pretty much. If you're an able-bodied person and you can work, then go get a job. You dig? So Section 8, I think he said we're going to do a 2-year Section 8 and you should be on your feet 2 years, contributing to, not taking from. So.
Welcome back. Congress hammering out key provisions of President Trump's big, beautiful bill, some of which could result in funding cuts to welfare programs. The president requesting certain cuts from the Housing and Urban Development Department, including more than $26 billion in state rental and grants and over $700 million in other assistance programs. Joining me now is Housing and Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for being here. What are you expecting in terms of these welfare cuts, and where do you expect the biggest cuts to be made?
Well, good morning, Maria. Thank you for having me. It's great to see you again. The president, my colleagues from the Senate and the House, this administration, we're all taking inventory and getting our fiscal house in order. As you know, the previous 4 years before we came, there were no checks and no balances, no transparency, and a lack of good stewardship in America's budget and America's fiscal house. And so, along with my colleagues on the Hill, we here at HUD are taking inventory of every program so that we could be sufficient and effective in serving the American people. This is the first step when you talk about the skinny budget. It's the first step of many in this process. Our job here at HUD is to maximize the budget that we do have and make sure that we're serving America's people in the critical programs that we have.
So do you expect cuts to those welfare programs, and how significant will the cuts be? Where specifically are you expecting the cuts, sir?
I think not so much cuts only, Maria, but also how we administer the programs. One thing at HUD, we're very mission-minded, and we understand, our call here to serve the American people. We'll see when the budget comes out what we have to work with. Our job is to maximize this budget and to make sure that we're serving America's most vulnerable people as it pertains to housing and homelessness and disaster recovery.
Mr. Secretary, you co-wrote a New York Times op-ed along with RFK Jr., Brooke Rollins, Dr. Oz. You suggested that there should be new qualifications to receive the welfare benefits. You write, able-bodied adults receiving benefits must work, participate in job training, or volunteer in their communities at least 20 hours a week.
See, I'm not understanding why it's not more hours a week. I don't understand why it's not more than 20 hours a week. Able-bodied adults receiving benefits must work, participate in a job training, or volunteer in their communities at least 20 hours a week. Volunteer? What? Man, go work. I mean, you dig. I'm 60 years old. You dig? I'm working. I know if you're 22, 25, 24, 30, 35, unless we have mental or physical disabilities where we can go out and get 80 hours a week, if you're able to do that, then you should do that. So here's a message to the young people. Don't waste the youth. Don't waste your youth. Go to school. Go to school. Learn a trade. Here in the state that I'm in, they have a place called Summit Academy. And none of the young people have sense enough to take advantage of the opportunities that they have simply under their noses to be productive. I mean, to actually be productive citizens, to become tax-paying investors into themselves, into our country, into their children's lives, into their families' lives, showing leadership within the family is a beautiful thing. I know that me myself, I've been working for a pretty decent amount of time in my life. My dad made sure that he instilled in me a good work ethic. If you don't work, you don't eat. His thing was, that's what he said. You know what I'm saying? If you don't work, you don't eat. I once upon a time was a part of a magazine crew, and they gave the true definition of you don't work, you don't eat. Because if you didn't sell and get no magazine subscriptions sold, yeah, you were on the bottom of the pile for everything, But it can only be a good thing for our young people to not be so dependent on federal aid and these types of things. Not to say that you can't use those things. Now, there's nothing wrong with using those things, but sometimes the system is not designed to keep, here, let me say it. I'll say it like this. They'll make you comfortable, and then that's all you'll know. So now your grandmother was on assistance. Now you're on assistance. Now you teach your child how to be on assistance, beating the system, and so forth and so on. I'm just saying, I think it'll be a better look, But anyway, to get to my point, here are a couple of ones that were
Apparently, Trump is proposing a bill that will cut Section 8 funding. You don't have to be someone that utilizes Section 8 to see the damage that this man is trying to cause. Why is it when money needs to be cut, they want to try to take from low-income families, but not make their rich friends pay their taxes? If the people who were well, and people seem to think that, oh, ghetto people are just the ones with Section 8. No, it is made for low-income families, people with disabilities, veterans, people that just need help paying their rent.
$15 a month, would I be rushing to go to work either? No, that's why the cycle is vicious. Month.
The market rent. If your income is down here, then you pay a smaller amount of rent.
What essentially she's saying is that the more money that you make, the less that they will help you out, thereby it being designed to keep you there. Because why would you want to work more if they're going to give you less money? I mean, these people are making a rational decision, leveraging the current structure. That's why they're on forever Section 8, designed to keep.
Now here's a young lady who used it and brought herself out of this. So listen to her.
I come from humble beginnings. Watching my mama be a hustler, then turn into a job. Being a janitor for the congresswoman and also working a labor-ready job just to pay her 40% of the rent because she had Section 8. Now, some people get on Section 8 and they get comfortable with their situation and they find it and use it as a crutch. But me, I was like, no, that's not what I want. So at a very young age, I became a hustler. I was shoveling snow, cutting grass, doing hair, babysitting, whatever it was, you name it, I'm back.
Now, see, when she said she became a hustler, when you looked at her face, right, the first thing I thought was, I said, hustler. She was slinging them things. What was going on? And then she started mentioning a bunch of legal stuff to do, cutting grass, doing hair. You know what I'm saying? That's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Because as long as you're doing the right thing, God will cover you.
About to do it to get that dime. But then as I became a young adult, I was a mom and I still was working. And then I was introduced to Section 8 and I said, okay, this is a comfortability, but I know that I don't want to stay here.
You hear that?
Paying 40%.
It's a comfortability, but it's not somewhere I want to stay. And see, that's what the mentality that you have to have out here in this world is. Like, it's cool to have it. It's cool to use it. It's there for you to use it, but don't abuse it. It's the difference between using and abusing. You know what I mean? You just got to know how to, hey, I got this far now. Thank you guys for helping me get my foot in the door. But okay, I'm good. I'm out of here now. Thank you. Thank you, God, for the opportunity. Thank you, God, for allowing these people to be in my life. But I'm cool now. You know what I'm saying? Thank you.
Percent of my rent was cool, but I didn't want nobody telling me how much money I needed to make in order for me to be qualified for a program. So some years later, I got off. I was able to sustain income, and right now today I'm still doing it, paying my bills without being on Section 8, not using it as a crutch. Not saying there's anything wrong with it, but you gotta. I come from humble beginnings. Watching my mama be a hustler, then turn into a job. Being a janitor for the congresswoman and also working a labor-ready job.
See, I wanted to hear that again. Like, you know, I come from humble beginnings. I watched my mama do this. I don't want to do that. I want to do something different. And that's what we have to do. We have to change our mentality. We have to change how we think. We can't keep allowing ourselves to be a part of the scared mentality. We can't be afraid of change. We have to step out on our faith. We have to trust God in whatever we do. We have to be able to stand on the correct principles. Yeah, but that's how it is. That's how it is. That's how it is. That's how it should be. All right, back on point here with the conversation This young lady has described her situation as being brought up from humbled. How did she describe it? Humbled beginnings. Hey, and that's cool because what don't kill you make you stronger. Now we can lay back on comfortabilities, and and yeah, it's cool for a minute, but there should come a time where you want your own. You should want your own, and you should be wanting to be out of the nest on your own. That's what you should want. Um, we all need help here and there, and thank God that we are in a country where we can assess that help and get help for a numerous amount of different situations. A lot of times, so I've been homeless, and I'm not anymore. Um, there's people who I was homeless with, um, and they're still homeless. Um, I was on drugs, but I'm not anymore. There's people that I was homeless and on drugs with that are still homeless and on drugs. So I said all that to say that your conscious decision and being accountable to yourself and your responsibilities isn't anyone's choice except yours. If you choose to stay one way, um, then that's probably going to be the case. You know, um, some people I know some people so far gone that they just think that nothing, nothing would change their situation. They can't. I'm not going to rehab. I'm not going to ask those people for anything. But sometimes it's good to just ask somebody. Hey, you could do it. Say no. You know what I'm saying? Again, what don't kill you makes you stronger. Kudos to this young lady and her family. You know, we have to stop blaming the system for the things that we've done to put ourselves in certain situations. Sooner or later, we have to be accountable for our decisions. The next thing that I wanted to go on, and I believe this is going to be the last one, we go back to the transgender situation. If anybody knows how I feel about transgender boys playing with girls, they know that I appall. I loathe the situation. I just don't. Some things that I just don't like. Now, here, let me be clear, right? I am by no means saying that I hate anyone of anything. Okay, I don't hate transgender people. I don't hate LGBTQ. I don't hate none of those people. None of them. I don't hate none of them. Right? I don't. I don't. So let's don't get on there. The average man, he just don't like no. I don't. I love everyone. I am not a perfect Christian, but I do work at following the rules. I Might not do it every day, but there's one rule that I really try to maintain, and that's the rule of love thy neighbor as thyself. You know, we all have some differences, and all people can find all ways to pounce on all of our differences, whether it be you're light skinned, you're dark skinned, you have long hair, you have nappy hair, you're straight, you're gay, you got a bigger nose, you got big ears, anything, man. So, you know, but I don't hate anybody. I just don't agree with transgender boys playing with biological girls. I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's fair. Here's a lawsuit filed over Minnesota's transgender athlete policy. Take a look.
Do you have a car? And do you have a clean driving record? Did you know you could pay as low as $19 a month in car insurance? How? It's
Tonight, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, the State High School League, and several other state agencies are facing a federal lawsuit over Minnesota's transgender athlete policy.
This suit claims the policy discriminates against female athletes and it violates Title IX. Brittany Ehrman's been digging into the lawsuit and explains what's at stake here. Brittany?
Kevin and Lindsay, the plaintiffs are 3 high school girls who believe it's unfair to compete against a trans softball player. The lawsuit claims the odds are against them in state tournaments, playing against what they call a male athlete.
Girls should have teams that are solely for them.
Female Athletes United is suing Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison and other state leaders for allowing transgender athletes to compete in girls' sports. In 2015, the Minnesota State High School League voted to open girls' sports to trans student athletes. This federal lawsuit alleges that policy creates an unsafe environment and does not allow high school girls in Maple Grove and Farmington to compete fairly.
These girls are certainly brave, and they are, again, very bold athletes who are standing up for women and girls whose rights have been violated.
The plaintiffs claim females are at significant disadvantages in this environment and cited fears of being injured.
We've had about 50 years of Title IX, and it is unfathomable that males in Minnesota are allowed to play on female sports teams.
In the lawsuit, other officials named are leaders at the Minnesota State High School League, the Department of Education, and the Department of Human Rights. Attorney General Keith Ellison said in a statement in part, quote, "I believe it is wrong to single out one group of students who already face higher levels of bullying and harassment and tell these kids they cannot be on the team because of who they are. I will continue to defend the rights of all students to play sports with their friends and peers." Ellison says he'll respond in greater detail in court. The Minnesota Department of Human Rights also responded in a statement.
I gotta try to go back here. I don't know why this is not being controlled.
And the Jenkins Creek fire is still.
Anyway, they said something about they're already being ridiculed, and whose fault is that? See, you know what? I don't even gotta find the clip. I know if you guys are understanding or digging my content, yo, please let me know in the comments because this transgender junk is crazy for me. But anyway, like, I don't get this. I don't get that. You okay? Okay. So you're a parent. You allowed your child of 8, 9 years old to help them transform into something other than what they were born as. You agree with that? We ain't talking about them transgenders no more. They don't need to be playing with the girls. Let them girls play with them girls. And then view people. Man, y'all need to stop preaching hate and separatism and call it is what it is. We knew Biden was crazy. He wasn't crazy. He was old. That's the point. He was old. The man was 83 years old. So yeah, I'm 60. I'm slowing down a little bit. Not much, but I'm slowing down a little bit. But that's what you're supposed to do when you get old. But somebody knew Biden was old. They talking about 100 people. If it was 100 people, it don't got to be 100 people. The 5 people that knew Biden couldn't think should have told somebody and get that man out of office. Y'all might have had a better chance of winning the presidency. Well, it's a long shot for the Dems now. But anyway, if you like the content, subscribe. I'm the Average Man Podcast. I am the Average Man. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. And at the end of the day, people, trust God. Until the next time, peace.